The rejected daughter stepped forward and changed her fate the first time they called her the extra one. She was only 7. It happened at a family gathering, the kind filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and conversations that danced just out of reach for a quiet child. She stood near the staircase holding a plate she didn't have the appetite to finish when her aunt leaned over to her mother and whispered, just loud enough, "She doesn't look like the others, does she?" Her mother didn't reply. She didn't defend her either. From that day on, Ilara understood something no child ever should. She was the one who didn't quite belong. Her older sister, Liana, was everything people admired. Confident, graceful, effortlessly charming. Their younger brother, Elias, was the pride of the family, the future everyone invested in. Ilara, though, existed in the quiet margins. She wasn't celebrated. She wasn't noticed. She was tolerated. At school, she kept to herself. At home, she learned to move silently, like a shadow slipping through rooms that were never meant for her. She found comfort in small things, books, sketches, and the way sunlight would warm her face by the window in the afternoons. But even shadows grow tired of being unseen. One evening when Ilara was 16, everything changed. Her father announced a grand charity gala. Influential guests, business partners, donors. It was an opportunity to strengthen the family's reputation. Liana was to represent the family publicly. Elias would assist their father. And Ilara? "You'll stay out of sight," her father said without looking at her. "We don't need distractions." The word lingered in the air like a bruise. That night, Ilara lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For years she had accepted her place quietly, convincing herself that staying invisible was easier than fighting for space. But something inside her shifted, a quiet, stubborn spark. What if she didn't stay out of sight? The day of the gala arrived wrapped in elegance. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above polished floors, and guests arrived dressed in brilliance and confidence. Ilara stood in her room, holding a simple dress she had bought with her own savings. Nothing extravagant, but it was hers. She looked at her reflection. For once, she didn't see the extra one. She saw someone who had endured years of silence and was still standing. So she stepped forward. When she entered the ballroom, conversation slowed, not because she dazzled like Liana, but because she wasn't expected. A few raised eyebrows, a few murmurs. Her father's expression tightened immediately. "Ilara," he hissed, approaching her. "What are you doing here?" She swallowed, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "I belong here too." Before he could respond, a sudden commotion near the entrance pulled everyone's attention away. A young woman, clearly not part of the event, stood hesitantly at the doorway. Her clothes were worn, her face anxious, and in her arms she held a small child who looked pale and weak. I'm sorry," the woman said, her voice trembling. "I was told there might be donors here. My daughter needs surgery. I didn't know where else to go." The room fell into an uncomfortable silence. This wasn't part of the evening. This wasn't planned. Security began to move toward her. Ilara's heart pounded. In that moment, she saw herself, not in the circumstances, but in the feeling of being unwanted, out of place, dismissed before even being heard, and without thinking, she stepped forward. "Wait," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. She walked toward the woman, ignoring the whispers, ignoring her father's disapproving stare. When she reached her, she knelt slightly, meeting her at eye level. "What's her name?" Ilara asked gently. "Amira," the woman replied, clutching her child tighter. Ilara smiled softly. "She's beautiful." She turned to the crowd. "This event is about charity, isn't it?" she said, her voice gaining strength. "About helping those who need it most?" No one answered. Her gaze moved across the room, meeting faces that suddenly avoided her eyes. "Then let's not turn away when help walks right through the door." A ripple of discomfort passed through the guests. This wasn't the polished speech they expected. This was real, raw. Ilara reached into her small purse and took out everything she had saved over the years. Money meant for her own future, her quiet dreams. She placed it in the woman's hands. "It's not much," she said, "but it's a start." The room held its breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, unexpectedly, one of the guests stepped forward, an older man with kind eyes. "I'd like to contribute," he said. Another voice followed, then another. Within minutes, what began as silence turned into movement. Donations poured in, conversations shifted, and the energy of the room transformed completely. Alara stood there, stunned. She hadn't planned this. She hadn't expected anyone to listen, but they had. And in that moment, something even more unexpected happened. Her father approached her again, but this time, his expression was different. Not angry, not dismissive, uncertain. He began, then stopped. For the first time in her life, he didn't know what to say to her. Alara didn't wait for words that might never come. She turned back to the woman and her child, helping coordinate with guests, ensuring they received the support they needed. She moved with quiet purpose, not for recognition, but because it felt right. Hours later, as the gala came to an end, the atmosphere was no longer about status or appearances. It was about connection, humanity, and at the center of it all stood the girl who was once invisible, the rejected daughter. That night, as Alara stood alone outside under the soft glow of the streetlights, she felt something she had never felt before. Not acceptance from others, but acceptance from herself. Her father joined her quietly. "You changed everything tonight," he said. "Steady." "No," she replied softly. "I just stopped staying silent." He nodded, as if understanding something far deeper than her words. For years, Alara had waited to be chosen, but she realized something profound. She didn't need to be chosen. She needed to choose herself. And by doing so, she had changed not only her fate, but the hearts of everyone who witnessed her courage. Because sometimes the ones who are overlooked carry the greatest light. And all it takes is one step forward to let it shine.